Hi, we're looking at ratios today, and ratios compare values. A ratio says how much of one thing I have compared to another. For example, I've got 5 green balls and 3 blue ones. So my ratio is 5 to 3, and that's how we write it. Another example is when I'm making some cordial. I might put in 1 part of cordial and 4 parts of water. And so I'd write that as 1 to 4. And if you think about it, there's actually 5 parts. One of them is the cordial and 4 parts of the water. And maybe I might even compare how many cats and dogs I have. One cat to 2 dogs. It's often used a lot in cooking, and we might be making some pancakes. And within the pancakes, we might be using flour and milk, and there's 3 cups of flour to 2 cups of milk. And what I want to talk about now is that we can actually change the amount we make, but we keep the ratio the same. So we're going to use an equivalent ratio, but we're going to make more pancakes. So I'm going to make 5 times as much pancakes. And that means I'm going to have 15 cups of flour and 10 cups of milk. But I'm keeping it in the same ratio, so my recipe will work out okay. But that's called an equivalent ratio. A bit like what we've just been learning with equivalent fractions. So the opposite to what I've just done is simplifying ratios. So I might start with a ratio of say 24 to 8. I might have gone on a school camp and there were 24 students and 8 staff members. And I could simplify that by thinking about what number goes into both 24 and 8 evenly, so a factor. And usually we want the highest one, but you don't always have to have it. You can work your way through. So if I just say, well, I know that 4 goes into both of those, when I divide by 4, I get 6 here and 2 here. And if I look at both of those numbers again, I see that 2 goes into them. So I'm going to divide by 2 again, and I get 3, 2, 1. And that tells me that there are 3 students for every 1 staff member. So I've simplified my ratio just down to the very basic ratio. Now another example of that might be, I've got 18 to 10. So I have to think about what number goes into both of those, and all I can think of is 2. So I divide each of them by 2, and I get 9 to 5. That's the most simple form of that ratio, and that's my simplified version. So sometimes you have to change the units before you start. And what I mean by that is you must have the same units before you start. So if I start with $4.50 and I want to compare it to, so one person had $4.50 another person had 70 cents, I need to write them both in the same format first. So I'm going to write them both as cents. So one person's got 4.50 cents and another person's got 70. Now I can simplify, and I know that 10 goes into both of those. So when I divide by 10, I get 45 and 7. And that's my simplified ratio. Another one that is looking at the fact that you have to change units, I might want to compare 36 centimetres to 1.2 metres. And they're not in the same units, so I'm going to convert them both to 36 centimetres and 120 centimetres. Now I could have converted them both to metres, but I went for centimetres because it's just a little bit easier, but both would be correct. So my ratio is 36 to 120, and I have to think about what number goes into both, and I know that 12, 24, 36, there's 3 12s and 36, so 12 goes into both of those. So when I divide by 12, I get 3 to 10, and that's my simplified ratio. So one other thing we can do with ratios is to share an amount of something in a ratio. So in this case, I'm talking about Sally and Max, who have won $100, and they want to split it in a 3 to 7 ratio. So what I want you to do is to add up how many parts there are. And there's 10 parts. So $100 divided by 10 equals $10. So that means that Sally gets 3 parts and Max gets 7. So 3 times 10 is 30 and 7 times 10 is 70. Here's another example of sharing. I've got 120 chocolates and I want to split them into 3 groups, but I want it to be in the ratio of 3 to 4 to 5 because one family's got 3 people, one family's got 4 people, and one family's got 5. So I'm going to split them up in this ratio. So what I'm going to do first is work out that I've got 12 parts. So if I do 120 divided by 12 equals 10. So that means that this family gets 3 by 10, this family gets 4 by 10, and this family gets 5 by 10. Which equals 120.